The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The Marcos Duterte tandem continues to dominate pre-election surveys. According to the Octa Research's latest Tugon ng Masa survey, 55% of respondents say they will vote for Bongbong Marcos. Vice President Leni Robredo got 15% of votes, while Manila Mayor Isko Moreno and Senators Manny Pacquiao and Ping Lacson followed suit. Although the vice presidential survey showed a closer fight between the top two contenders, as Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte garnered 43% of votes, while Senate President Tito Soto got 33%. Senator Kiko Pangilinan, Doc Willie Ong, and Congressman Lito Atienza lagged behind. Meanwhile, the survey also showed the top 12 senatoriables for this year's elections. These include Loren Legarda, Raffy Tulfo, Alan Peter Cayetano, Mig Zubiri, Chis Escudero, and Mark Villar. Robin Padilla, Wing Gatchalian, Jojo Binay, Risa Ontiveros, and brothers Jinggoy Estrada and JV Ejercito also made it to the top 12. Presidential aspirants laid out their plans in addressing the conflict in the West Philippine Sea should they be elected. In the CNN presidential debates, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno said he will not stop diplomatic relations with our ally countries. And he added that he will assert the country's territorial claim through peaceful and legal means. Vice President Leni Robredo also said that her administration will remain diplomatic and will continue the country's partnership with its allies. Robredo also noted that economic resilience is the key to resist pressures from foreign powers.
Papalakasin natin yung pakikipag-ugnayan natin sa ating mga allies, mga ibang bansa na pareho yung paniniwala sa atin para meron tayong kakampi, just in case merong aggression. Pangalawa, yung informational, sisiguraduhin natin yung pamahalaan natin yung nangunguna para i-push yung isang national consensus. Yung narrative natin ay kailangan magkaisa yung mga Pilipino behind it. Pangatlo, yung military, sisiguraduhin natin na popondohan natin yung ating armed forces of the Philippines para makapag-put up tayo ng credible defense against sa ating mga aggressors.
Meanwhile, for former Defense Secretary Norberto Gonzales, the government must focus on boosting the morale of its own people, citing the leadership of Volodymyr Zelensky in Ukraine.
Nakikita na natin na nag-slow down bigla ang pasok ng Russia because of the tenacity and the determination of the people of Ukraine to stand up and fight. Dito sa atin, iyan ang dapat nating inuuna.
8 out of the 9 presidential candidates who were present at the CNN debate said they will begin probing corruption at the Customs Bureau if elected to power. Only Senator Manny Pacquiao answered differently, saying he wants the Health Department investigated first. Some candidates like Manila Mayor Isko Moreno and former palace spokesperson Ernesto Abella said they had personal experiences with attempted bribery. But all the candidates present took a strong stance against all forms of corruption.
Hindi namin papayagan ang ganyang klase ng mga pagsusuhol dito sa aming hanay dahil hindi yan makakatulong para sa pagpapaunlad ng organisasyon, ng aming samahan, kaya dapat siya nire-reject. Makukulong yung mag-o-offer sa akin.
So, kayo mismo mag-aaresto?
Makukulong yung mag-o-offer sa akin, kaya huwag niyong gagawin.
Kaya tumakbo ang inyong lingkod sa pagkapangulo dahil gusto kong tapusin ang korupsyon. Gusto kong tapusin ang kanser ng bansa natin na siyang nagpapahirap ng bansa natin at nagpapahirap sa sambayan ng Pilipino. Yan ang tanging paraan para magkaroon tayo ng tunay na kaginhawaan. Maging isang leader na may takot sa Panginoon at hindi materialistic.
Many presidential candidates were hot topics on Twitter over the weekend as CNN Philippines conducted its presidential debates. The hashtag #MarcosDuwag resurfaced on Twitter's trends list as former Senator Marcos yet again skipped a major debate. CNN Philippines left an empty podium on stage for Marcos. Hashtag ipinalo natin to, meanwhile, made it to the Philippines trends list as supporters of Vice President Leni Robredo cheered her on as she participated in the debate. Ipanalo natin to is one of Robredo's catchphrases for her campaign, while number 10 is her official number in the ballot. Montemayor was also trending as netizens reacted to comments and responses made by presidential candidate Jose Montemayor Jr. during the CNN debates. Some users criticized Montemayor for his anti-labor stance, which he used to counter a point made by labor leader Calyodi de Guzman. Bill Gates also ended up in the trends list, as Montemayor mentioned the business magnate's name in one of his responses. Montemayor had accused Manila Mayor Isko Moreno of collecting $15 million worth of campaign funds from Bill Gates. Moreno, however, debunked this, saying that this is prohibited by law. Starting tomorrow, restrictions in Metro Manila and 38 other areas will be de-escalated to Alert Level 1. But is the transport sector prepared for this? Let's get the updates from Mon Gualvez, who's now reporting to us live from Marikina. Good morning again, Mon. Let's talk about the capacity for public utility vehicles from 70% capacity. I understand that public vehicles will now be allowed to fill 100% of their seats. So that being said, how will health protocols be observed?
Yes, Charles, Alert Level 1 in Metro Manila is set tomorrow, wherein establishments and public utility vehicles or PUVs will finally be allowed to operate at 100% capacity. But today, we are seeing many jeepneys full of passengers. For example, in Philcoa, Quezon City, where passengers rush to get on board jeepneys and physical distancing is also no longer observed. The only priority is for them to be able to get on a jeepney so they'll get to where they are headed to. That's the situation now, a day before the Alert Level 1 will be observed. Charles.
And Mon, what about the other precautions such as taking body temperature and passengers and keeping plastic barriers in between them? Are these measures here to stay?
Well, actually, Charles, we spotted one bus in Kalayaan Avenue which offers a free ride as well, wherein body temperature checking for passengers is still being implemented. They said they are not stopping this for the safety of their passengers unless they are advised to. But aside from the said bus, we don't see any more plastic barriers or other precautionary measures in other PUVs, particularly in jeepneys. It's the last day of Alert Level 2 today, so the rule is still up to 70% capacity allowed for public utility vehicles. But we are definitely not seeing that anymore. And that's why many passengers think nothing would change even if the status gets downgraded to Alert Level 1. Aside from the filled up jeepneys and buses, Charles, they also have to endure long queues. Drivers explain that they could not stop the passengers from queuing or boarding to their vehicles. Charles.
And Mon, talking about drivers, what do jeepney and bus drivers think about this increased capacity? Do they think this will be enough for them to recover what they're losing from sky-high gas prices?
Exactly. Well, many drivers, Charles, admit that they are holding on to the loosening of the restriction on seating capacity set to start tomorrow for them to be able to kickstart in their operations, especially the fuel prices are too high for their daily operations. Charles.
Thank you and stay safe, Mon. That was Mon Gualvez reporting live from Marikina. Three-time Paralympic medalist Millie Knight shares the challenges she faces during her blind skiing games. Her story in this Bloomberg Quick Take.
I love the freedom that skiing gives me.
Millie Knight has been skiing since the age of 6 with her mother as her guide.
It was really good fun and a great opportunity to ski with my mum as an intro into the sports.
That's when she started losing the majority of the sight in both eyes from an infection. The 23-year-old is a 3-time Paralympic medalist and a 2-time world champion, skiing in all 5 alpine disciplines from slalom to downhill. Now she's competing in the 2022 Beijing Paralympics.
To be in my 3rd Paralympic Games is pretty amazing. I'm very lucky to have had the experiences of 2 prior games that I hope I'll be able to take the experiences and knowledge into Beijing.
Millie doesn't ski alone. Brett has been her guide for the past 6 years.
It's a very unique relationship. I'd say we were probably best friends now, and the way that we get on is pretty amazing, considering that, he spent 6 years putting up with me, which I think he deserves a medal in his own right just for that. I'm one sense down. Being visually impaired means that actually one of my other senses, like my hearing, has been heightened. So I can pick up a lot of information from the snow and from the sound of Brett's skis. I've obviously got the Bluetooth headsets and our helmets, so a microphone and an earpiece. So that's where I'll be listening to Brett, but also he wears a luminous orange jacket and skis in front of me. So I'll be trying to follow that as much as possible too. Whether it's bumpy, whether it's icy, soft, all sorts of things like that, that he doesn't need to communicate to me, which is pretty helpful when you're traveling at speeds of up to 120 kilometers an hour. There's not a lot of time to communicate things like that. Then I will also communicate back to him, saying whether I can still see him, whether I can't, whether our distance is too great or too small.
Like many others, COVID has made her trainings even more challenging.
During the first lockdown, it affected us quite a lot. There was a long period of time where we were off snow, and actually the time at home actually enabled me to work very, very heavily on my fitness and my strength.
And 2021 was a tough year for both. Millie had her 4th concussion, and her guide Brett was recovering from a knee injury.
It was really difficult, heartbreaking, and very, very mentally challenging as well. It's something that took a lot out of me and took a lot to push through as well.
Millie says dealing with fear is one of the biggest tests in her skiing career.
Doubt came in, fear was there. I genuinely believed that I wasn't good enough anymore, and that I shouldn't be competing at the level that I'm competing at. So my lack of confidence in my ability and myself, combined with being scared and having the fear of hitting my head and getting concussion again, are the most challenging things that I have had to deal with. So I'm constantly having to work on my confidence, on kind of building up that resilience to it. I love the freedom that skiing gives me, the ability to go at the speeds that I want to go at to places that I want to go to. It's just me and Brett, and we can go pretty fast.
And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.